Good evening, everyone. Lord Malachite has come back again. I did promise I would make another video today about the camping trip episode of Star versus the Forces of Evil. So this is it. With our special guest, the great and powerful Trixie. I'm going to try to put different furry friends that I have. It'll probably be mostly ponies, mainly because ponies actually just fit on the back of the chair so naturally. And while I have a lot of other plushes, none of them really want to stay on that chair. And I'm certainly not going to try to sit here and hold them while I'm talking to you. Yeah, I guess you're going to see my pony collection as some of these videos go on. I have other shirts than pony shirts, but I do have about 15 of these. I've got some Steven Universe shirts, some old Sailor Moon ones, and honestly, I just haven't taken the time to dig out a lot of them. So you're probably going to see a lot of pony stuff go through, even though I haven't really been doing that much talking about ponies. But regardless, let's get into what we're doing. So this is season 2, Star versus the Forces of Evil, the episode Camping Trip, which premiered roughly around a month ago, probably a little over. So as I always start these, the story was written by Dominic Bisignano, Aaron Hemmersley, Amy Higgins, John Infantino, Brandon Cruz, and Ben Joseph and Darren Nefsey herself. So that was 6 people contributing to the actual story here. Again, story doesn't mean they actually wrote the episode. This means different ideas that each of them contributed to it. That's kind of a lot, almost a too many cooks spoil the soup thing, but it actually ended up working for this episode. This was actually one of the best episodes of season 2. And I think it's because while it had a lot of contributors, we didn't end up with a lot of stuff that didn't really belong or feel out of place. So that was definitely a big help. As far as the actual storyboarding and writing, that was left to John Infantino, Brandon Cruz, and Piero Peluso. And the actual directing of the episode fell to John Infantino and Piero Peluso. So John Infantino was instrumental in this episode, we know from the credits, because he helped come up with a story idea. He did the storyboarding and actual writing of the story itself, along with Piero Peluso and Brendan Cruz. And of course, he also co-directed the episode with Piero. So he and Pierre were the 2 probably biggest driving forces behind it, since they were both directors as well as physical writers of the actual episode and storyboarders. So I always like to assign the blame where it belongs, and in cases the credit as well. Been a lot of blame with the season 2 of Star versus the Forces of Evil, but this is definitely one where it's a credit shout out. So the season is getting better, and I'm going to get a little bit into that right now. So this is just a fun episode in some ways. It's kind of the inverse of Diaz Family Vacation from season 1, where Star takes the Diazes to see Muni, and she takes them to see the real Muni in that episode, not taking them to see her castle and meet her parents and see how wonderful she grew up, but she really shows them what Muni is really like for the average person. Now this is different. This is a camping trip to what seems to be a national park in the area, kind of a recreation of Yosemite National Park, it would seem, since there is the guys are in it, Old Youthful, obviously a play on Old Reliable. Star is definitely excited about this camping trip, and we come to learn that camping is something that she did a lot of with her father, who just kind of randomly shows up in this episode. Apparently, he's able to know when his daughter is going camping through some kind of dad sense, and just appears on Earth, falling there like a giant meteorite, and just kind of digs himself out of this crater like, hey, the king has arrived. We see the naivety of Star, despite the harsh environment of Muni and the hunting she used to do there, both on her own and with her father. We see how just a simple little insect biting her on the arm at first makes her want to do some kind of nuclear devastation spell with her wand, before Marco shows her, hey, all you need is bug spray. We see her later in the episode declaring her insect bites to be love bites, like nature touching her. This is almost a little bit odd. It's not so much odd that Star is okay with getting these insect bites, because she is kind of naive and she likes to experience new things on Earth. So she's there looking at her arm and all the mosquito bites or stings or whatever it is that are on there. But what's more interesting interesting is the fact that these are something that should be irritating, and Star usually doesn't do well with things that irritate or bug her. So it seems that either whatever itchiness or pain or whatever would be derived from these is something that either doesn't bother her, or if it does bother her, just the joy of being quote unquote touched by nature is more relevant to her than whatever minor discomfort they're causing. That's a little thing about her character. It's not a complaint. It was just something that I noticed pulling out from it. Also, when we hear River, Star's father, explain about camping and how he used to take Star camping and tracking monsters and beasts through the wilderness for days at a time without any food or any clothing or shelter or anything, it really makes you wonder the true conditions that Star is actually used to, especially considering the fact that she is a princess. Now, she's not a totally stuck-up princess. She is not someone who demands to have the best of everything, but she is kind of set in her ways. She's an adventurer. She likes to have fun, but we really don't get an idea of what her actual palace life was like. Certainly, she wasn't terribly sheltered, given all the wild things she did, taming wild unicorns and fighting monsters that she's been doing for most of her life. But she definitely is naive about a lot of things. And it seems often that it's not just Earth things that she's naive about, but just the way that she kind of expects the world to bend to her will, magic wand or no. But this is something, again, it's there, it's about her character, it's worth mentioning, but I'm not going to give a dissertation on it because this is really not that kind of episode. This is generally a fun episode. So early on, with Star's father's there, he basically takes Star and Marco away to hang with him for the day while Marco's parents are too busy taking their, well, not photographs, but paintings. We find out that Raphael and Angie, rather than taking photographs, Raphael likes to paint every little scene from the vacations that they go on with these camping trips. So he's constantly painting his wife in different positions and doing different things, which is kind of interesting because given how amorous they are, these pictures really or paintings really aren't even slightly suggestive. I mean, come on, again, it is a show that's supposed to sort of kind of be for all ages. It's not going to go too far in that direction, but it's a little surprising that they don't have, let's call it a little more of a amorous tinge to them, if not necessarily erotic. But, again, these are just the little observations I'm coming up with. The main thrust of the episode itself centers around the character of River, Star's father, realizing that he's not as big a force in his daughter's life anymore as he used to be. He's feeling somewhat threatened by Marco's presence there because Star seems to cling to him a lot. Of course, he makes assumptions that they're a couple, that they're romantically involved, and there are kind of some cute, tiny little Starco moments in this. Not romantic moments between the two, but just these really cute and pretty moments that kind of lay the groundwork for what will eventually be their relationship. But obviously at this point in time, they are not together that way. And while when it comes up, while Star herself never says anything about them not being together, Marco is extremely quick to say that he is not Star's boyfriend, possibly because he really doesn't want to be at this point. I'm not trying to say that he doesn't like Star, but I think that she's someone who's very special to him as his best friend, and let's face it, I think she intimidates and scares him a little bit. So he likes Star, but he's probably really not contemplating her as a romantic partner at this point in his life, especially since he's so fixated on Jackie. And since we learned in I believe it was Freeze Time in episode 1, or was it Freeze Play? But the episode where Star actually freezes time. Since we learned that Marco has been basically loving Jackie from afar since preschool and kindergarten, and doing the nodding thing to her every day, that's something that's really going to have to be dealt with. And I don't think that we should really be exploring Starco is a couple too deeply until Marco comes to terms with the whole Jackie thing. Really, at some point, he just needs to go out with her, and whatever happens, happens. Maybe it doesn't work. Maybe it works out for a while. My personal way I'd like to see it go is for Marco and Jackie to get together and Star become like really insanely jealous over it and not even understand why until she's forced by people like Ponyhead and Glossaric and other friends that she has on Earth to come to terms with the fact that she has these feelings for Marco that aren't being addressed, and she just kind of has to suffer in silence while Marco and Jackie are going out and let this thing play its course until the time is right for maybe start to move in when Jackie and Marco are no longer together or their relationship hits a bad turn or whatever it is. It's not, a soap opera show, so I don't know how much of that is planned out. I guess it would depend on how long the series is on. I really don't want them to rush Star and Marco getting together. I'm a total Starco shipper. Don't get me wrong on that. I want to see them end up together. We know they're going to end up together. I've said it before and I'll say it again. They're the new Kim Possible and Ron Stoppable. We know from the first episode these two are destined to be together. But I definitely want to see the characters arrive there over time. I don't want it to be rushed. I don't want it to be something that just randomly happens because the fans wanted it. I want these characters to be three-dimensional, and I want them to go through things and discover what they feel and what that actually means. It's just a part of growing up. They're 14 years old, so they're really at that age where they're beginning to discover who they are, and let them come to these feelings on their own over time and as the series progresses. So that is a huge part of this episode, is about Star's father feeling like he needs to take a step back and feeling slightly threatened by Marco. And we have the beautiful resolution in the end where he's feeling not just that he's less of a force in his daughter's life, but that he's becoming old and obsolete, and people don't really want him around anymore, and he's not sure what his purpose is. And he's able to run Marco and Star on his shoulders all the way to the geyser, just missing the eruption. And then, of course, it does erupt again because they were lied to about the geyser never erupting again. And it seems to give the king back some of his youth. We'll see if that carries on into other episodes. But that was kind of how this episode ends, is that Old Youthful actually gives the king back some of his youth, which was a really clever thing. Obviously, the best moment in the episode is between Star and Marco and her father, where the king has been making all these different mistakes, getting them all into trouble, having to pay all this gold for doing things like messing with a bald eagle, getting involved with nature, the destruction of the various nature around the park. And these things were just a lot of fun, seeing them have to give up his crown and all this gold before eventually getting to the geyser. But this great moment where they're not going to make it there, and Star wants to know why Marco's so upset by this, and Marco simply tells her that Star has shown him all these wonderful things in other dimensions since he's known him, and this is something that's really pretty and awesome to him, and he just wants to share it with her the way that she shares things with him. And it's this great moment that the three of them take place in. It's where Star's father isn't a third wheel, but he really sees that Marco's not a threat to him. Marco's someone who actually genuinely cares about Star. And while Marco's relationship with Star isn't quite what the king thinks it is at this point in time, it's easy to see the good relationship that his daughter has with this boy, that there could be a future with him in many different ways, and that he really is doing what he was called on to do, and essentially, watch over her and take care of her, but at the same time not, get in her way too much. So it's this great moment between the three characters. They all share something. We get the little Starco buzz, and just generally the writing in this episode was really, really good. It was approaching that of season 1. So I, for one, give this 2 thumbs way up. I feel that the next episodes surpassed even this, and with the with the whole start babysitting for Buff Frog, and then we get to see Buff Frog doing this new job over on Muni. So I am going to be reviewing those episodes next, but I definitely wanted to take the time to give the 2 thumbs way up on this one because there's some really just great moments. Obviously, I would say the best moment from Camping Trip is not the nice little Starco thing we get at the end. It would have to be when the king is talking to himself in the bald eagle's nest. He's having this giant conversation with himself about his place in his daughter's life and what's going on with Marco and how relevant is he anymore. And he's having this conversation aloud that both Star and Marco can clearly hear. And to him, it's like they're not even there, or at least he doesn't seem to care that they're there. There's some great animation and absolutely brilliant voice work there by Ellen Tudyak, who of course plays River as well as playing Ludo on the show. One of my favorite actors, of course. I've loved him back since the days of Firefly when he played Wash, my favorite character on that sci-fi show. Sadly, it didn't run long, but it's a little piece of trivia for those of you that did not know that. So that is essentially my review of Camping Trip. It's definitely 2 thumbs up. We are moving in the right direction, and we seem to continue to be doing so. Hopefully season 2 can keep this up because it opened really badly, and the first several episodes were just bad to the point where I didn't know if I was going to be able to keep watching it. But it has slowly been getting better, and we definitely am seeing that line of improvement, and that's something that we really need. So the Star that I personally love, the Star that I fell in love with in season 1, this girl who is plucky, she is sure of herself, she makes mistakes, but she generally owns them. She confronts monsters, and the only thing she's really terrified of is St. O's, and she's kind of, I guess you could say, street smart. Maybe not so much on Earth, but she's impulsive and she's impatient and she's naive, but she's just fun. And Star really became just this dumb girl throughout so much of season 2, and she seems to be bouncing back from that and getting back to the girl that she was all throughout season 1. So kudos to the writers on that for pulling this out of a nosedive. And I'm going to be watching, and I will be reviewing every episode because I want to chronicle what's going on in the show, and I feel like I have to keep track of everything that's been happening, for better or for worse. So this was the review. Please feel free to comment. I hope I was able to entertain you for 15 minutes or so. And soon, possibly even tomorrow, I've been trying to catch up this week, but I'm definitely want to tackle Star Sitting and the next stellar episode from season 2. Again, proving that the magic of the show can still be found. Thank you all for watching, and have yourselves a wonderful day.